just going to get to work today, and that's fine if you want to work together, but use your time wisely because there are a good amount of problems. And tomorrow, I'm going to come around and check your homework first. And then we're going to go over some specific ones that I want to go over, and then if we have time at the end of that, I'll go over any extra problems. But notice there's a good amount of odd ones. You should be able to check your answers today. But this is really important review so that you'll be ready for the exam on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. So it really is a big review today, go over the review tomorrow, test Wednesday, test Thursday, and then Friday, if you have not passed the AccuPlacer, you'll be taking that. For those of you that have passed it, hopefully I'll have the test graded, but also maybe it'll just be kind of like a little, we'll play like some math game. Like Yahtzee will count as a math game. I have Sparkle, that's a math game. So that'll be what we do on Friday for those people that don't think yet the AccuPlacer. All right, so if you'll just label your paper however you're going to do it. If it was me, since there's so many different page numbers so that you keep stuff, keep track of stuff, if it was my paper, I would do page 57, number 33, so that tomorrow when I'm going over stuff, you won't be like, what page is this on? Because I have them all labeled as pages and numbers. But on page 57, number 33 and 34 say just factor it. But I want you to set those equal to 0 and solve it because there's a question on your test that asks you to solve a cubic. And I put one of these on, I think it was, I don't know, whatever one we solved stuff on. I put it as a bonus question. And some people are on the right track. Why won't that go away? Thank you. Whatever. Step 1 is you have to be able to factor a sum or difference of cubes. So if you forget that, let's write that out first. If you have a cubed plus b cubed, remember that that factors into a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. But this one is the difference of two cubes, so this would be a cubed minus b cubed. And remember that just, it's the exact same thing, but when minus, these two signs switch. So it's a minus b, and then a squared plus ab plus b squared. All right, so step 1 is, we haven't talked about that in a long time, sum and difference of cubes. And they want you to solve this and find the zeros of it. So step 1 is you have to factor that. So if I factor this, do you agree that my a would just be x, like that's my first one? And what would my b be? What is this? What number cubed gives you 27? 3, right? 3 cubed is 27. It's not going to be a crazy one. It's going to be like x cubed plus or minus some number like 27, 125, that's 5 cubed, 64 is 4 cubed. You have a calculator, so you should be able to figure that out. But you've got to be able to take this and put it over here, right? Put it in this formula. So a minus b, that would be x minus 3. And for me, once I do that first parenthesis, I use that to do the rest of it. So then it's the first one squared, or a squared, so that's x squared, plus the first times the second, ignore the signs, it's just x times 3, which I'm going to write as 3x, and then plus the last one squared, which is 9. Really easy check on this. Check that your first number is x cubed and your last number is negative 27. X times x squared is x cubed. Negative 3 times 9 is negative 27, so at least you have that part right. But it really does factor into this. That's if you look in the back of the book, this is what the answer for 33 says. But the test wants you to solve that. So 1, 0 is really easy, right? You just set this and you say x equals 3 because you just solved that one. But what about this one? If we solve x squared plus 3x plus 9 equals 0, that's never going to be factorable. So what are your other options that you could do to solve that equation? Complete the square or quadratic formula. And I don't care which one you do. This is not an even number, so if you complete the square, you're going to have fractions or decimals there. I would probably just do the quadratic formula on this. I think almost always it's imaginary, so that's something to think about as you're doing it. But definitely not pretty. So let's see. If I solve this, if I use quadratic formula, I get negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared. That would be 9 minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. And then you just want to simplify that as much as you can. Something the square would also work. What's that going to be? 9 minus 36 underneath there. So that's negative 3 plus or minus the square root of negative 27 all over 2. And then just remember to be careful with your simplifying of your square roots. Make sure you don't divide out something under your square root with something not under your square root. And also make sure you simplify this, right? I don't want the decimal here, but I could write that as the square root of negative 9 times 3. So that would be negative 3 plus or minus 3i radical 3 all over 2. And since 2 does not divide into 3, I'm done with it. If this bottom number was divisible by both of these top numbers, then we could simplify it. But just be careful on that. I'm pretty sure like if you made a simplifying error, that would just be minus 1 point. But definitely that is one question on your test. Obviously, it's probably not 27, but I just want to make sure. So I gave you number 34, which is exactly like this, just a different number. So it's just to practice that. And then I'm going to be quiet now and let you work on this, and I'll just be around to answer your questions. You should have notes, quizzes, old stuff like that that has examples of all this, but if you need some guidance, feel free to ask me, and if you want to get together and work together, I'm okay on that too. But you got a good 40 minutes, get a good chunk of this done, but tomorrow, first thing, I'm going to go around and check and give you points, so make sure that you don't just stop after the class is over if you don't have it done. Okay.